Our policy issue for the project is educational funding, and today we will specifically be focusing on Proposition 98.
In 1988, an amendment was made to the state constitution that would radically change the way K through 14 schools would receive much-needed funding. The amendment was made possible through the passage of Proposition 98, also known as the Classroom Instructional Improvement and Accountability Act. The proposition established minimum percentages of the state's general fund to be used on education. The minimum standard established was 40% of the California General Fund. It also established a three-test system to use for future years. In order to reach these goals, the proposition mandated the reconfiguration for the allocation of property taxes.
Political symbols have been used in the media to identify this policy issue to the public, such as the story of rise and decline, as well as synecdoche, such as schools don't simply have the funding to provide the proper education to students in California. Proposition 98 considers educational funding in California. In 2018, there were over 10,000 California schools, over 6 million students, and a projected amount of over $200 billion in state expenditures and funding contributed to schools. Proposition 98 funding dollars are primarily comprised of capital gains taxes, local property taxes, corporate taxes, sales and income taxes as well. Mentioned earlier, the state decides between three separate tests in order to calculate school funding. Test number 1 guarantees a minimum of 41% of the general fund. Test number 2 factors in changes in personal income and daily attendance, and test number 3 factors in changes to general fund revenue. Each year, the state legislative branch uses these calculations and collaborates, as Governor Newsom sends over his proposed funding package, including funding for schools under Proposition 98, to state assembly and Senate members to be approved and finalized. Governor Newsom's proposed May funding revisions focus on a few key areas, including $3 billion derived from pension relief, $1.4 billion to higher education, $1.8 billion to early education, and over $1 billion to special education. Next year's funding package for K through 14 totals $81.1 billion, which represents a 3.1% increase from last year. Governor Newsom justifies this increase from the growing economy as well as the increased need to focus on education. A plethora of interests are involved in the perception of this policy. We are curious to see how Proposition 98 and the funding package moves forward and is received by teachers, board members, and lobbyists.